This is Witches Quarrel, a 2-player, 5-minute legacy deck building game. When you first open the box, you'll see 36 sealed envelopes, an instruction manual, a bag of gems, and a list of feats. Take a look at these feats, and you'll see they aren't linear, get to the next level objectives. Each one is a challenge that players will have to go out of their way to achieve to open those 36 mysterious envelopes. And we've already completed one. Open the Witches Quarrel box. So we get to see what's inside envelopes A, B, and 1. Every envelope starts with a story card that, taken together, tell the story of the witch child prodigies Isabella, who we find here in envelope A, and her best friend, Beatrix, who we find in envelope B. They each begin with the same simple starting decks, but they'll get to branch out as we open those other envelopes. And that brings us to envelope 1, with more story, an index card, and many copies of Blister, so we can have a spell to learn as we start our first quarrel. Players usually pick 5 spells to form the supply, but until you discover 5, the games are simpler, and the spell progression provides a basic tutorial that board players can bypass by exploiting the feats list. Quarrels are fast, draw 3 spells each turn, and the first one to suffer 10 unblocked damage cries mercy. Here, Isabella casts a Blister and a Brace. Blister deals 1 early damage to Beatrix, then the Brace lingers on the table. At the end of the turn, Blister goes under Isabella's deck and she draws 3 new spells. Beatrix has Blister, Focus, Focus. The Blister breaks Isabella's Brace, it goes under her deck. With power from the 2 focus spells, Beatrix learns 2 new Blisters. At the end of your turn, you get to stack all of this, the spells you keep and the spells you learn, in any order under your deck. This adds another layer of strategy to the game and lets you plan turns to achieve feats, and even makes the game faster by eliminating shuffling time. Isabella plays 3 focus spells, which, if we look over at the feats list again, is another feat. So, everything pauses while the players open envelope 2, some more lore, and Fireball, a new spell to learn, and it immediately goes into the game, giving players an actual choice here. Back in the quarrel, Isabella has just gained 3 power, so she can learn a Fireball right away. This quarrel will last around another 8 turns before someone takes their 10th damage and calls for mercy, and you will open 1 to 5 more envelopes, mostly at the end, for feats like defeat a witch with a Fireball, or end a quarrel with 13 plus spells in your deck. Those new spells make it really exciting to fight your next quarrel, and the details of that excitement actually catch a lot of different gaming motivations. Completionists, explorers, and mastery players each find their peak excitement at different points through each quarrel envelope's refresh cycle, but they all want to keep playing. Storytellers want to get the story card in the next envelope, and the spell in each envelope is thematically connected to the story card, continuing the fantasy into the quarrels. You can pause this video at the story cards if you want to read some examples. And these cycles happen very fast. A quarrel takes 5 minutes, 10 to 15 if you're playing casually. It would suck to spend more than a few minutes in setup and cleanup for a 5-minute game, so we've done a lot of work to optimize that. Every card has either a number or a witch's name in the top right corner, making the small deck quick to sort after a quarrel. The cards go into the box in numerical order, with the spell name and number sticking up and slanted back for maximum visibility. You only need 5 stacks of spells, compared to 17 for base Dominion, and the player starting decks have their own slots, so you don't have to assemble them each game. Now let's take a look at what a quarrel looks like once you've opened some more of those envelopes. At this point, we've discovered a few more witches, so players start by choosing which character they'd like to play. We just opened the lightning spell, so we definitely wanted to play with that, but we used the randomizer cards to choose the other 4 spells from the large pool we've opened so far. We've also discovered special feats lists for each of our witches, so we keep those close by. These feats will reveal backstory for that witch. Isabella has learned a few different starting spell options, so now she chooses 5 to play in this quarrel, considering which spells are available. Eventually, each witch has a few unique viable starting combinations. And we're all set. We shuffle our decks and draw our starting hands. While you're opening envelopes, both players are working together to achieve feats, and there's a gentle introduction to each spell. Then, once everything is open, the game and the players are ready for randomized competitive play in a traditional deck building experience imbued with a little extra meaning from the journey you took to get there. Plus, we want to call this first game Witches Quarrel Gifted Children, and the story cards in the last few envelopes will leave you eager to learn what happens in the next chapter, Witches Quarrel Acolyte's Journey, because narratively, this is the first in a 4-game series. We're also working on a separate expansion built for 3 to 5 players. Thank you for taking the time to learn about Witches Quarrel. You can keep in touch with us on our Facebook page, and we're currently looking for playtesters. Now go find your magic.